name is Steve Nicholson, and I've been coming to the branch since about April of this year. I am single. I have a 23-year-old son, and my addiction with all kinds of drugs and alcohol started whenever I was in my early 20s. And I'm 51 years old right now. It's when I got out of school and I started working in the radio business that's kind of when it all happened, because that was kind of the lifestyle of radio people. You didn't have to buy drugs. You didn't have to buy alcohol. It was all given to you because you were on the radio, and that kind of started me down that path. I didn't drink a lot, but I was using a lot of things I shouldn't have used. Gateway drugs, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamines, ecstasy. That's all I can remember, to tell you the truth. There are others, but I mean, you get the idea that it wasn't a good thing. About my mid to late 20s, I decided I needed to stop living that kind of life, so I quit doing drugs. I stopped doing all drugs, technically. I kept drinking. And that was really my choice, my drug of choice for the next 20 years. And it was 20 years. And it wasn't until January 3rd of 2005 that I became sober. And I've been sober since then, by the grace of God. But what really had me hit rock bottom was my boss came to me one day and said, you kind of need to do something. This isn't right. And here's a guy I respected a lot, and it just tore me apart that he was telling me I really needed to get my act together. So that's what really was my rock bottom. And that was in November of 2004. So I got into a program that started in January of that year. And in May of 2005, I'd been sober for about 4 months. And I was having questions about my marriage. I was, didn't know if it was going to work out. And I was praying to God. That's another thing you start doing when you start your recovery, is you start to pray again. And I said, God, I don't know, show me a sign. And he did. I came home from work one day and there was a big red, white, and blue sign that said Remax. And my wife had put the house up for sale. I had lied to her so much that even when I became sober, first of all, she didn't know if it was for good, and I can accept that, but I think there was just too much. The lying had done too much to damage, and it was really hard to get past that. So that one I take full responsibility for. I had that happen to me. The next year, I lost my job. Later on that year, my son was arrested for drugs possession and started to struggle with drug abuse that he continues today, but luckily, thank God, he's winning the battle now, but he's still got a long war ahead of him. And I was able to see, what if I had not gotten sober? What would have happened to me if I was still drinking and practicing the ways that the things that I were doing? And I would have been dead. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to handle the fact that my wife, wanted to leave me. My child, is getting arrested and guilty of the things that I did. I lost my job. And so through it all, and through all these trials, God taught me to trust Him. Because I had no other choice. I had no other choice whatsoever. And it was whenever my son, had gotten arrested, and that is finally whenever it came to the realization that I have to let God and let go, which is pretty much what they teach you in Alcoholics Anonymous. My sponsor that I had in AA, after I'd been working with him for about 5 or 6 months, I looked at him and I said, this is the same stuff that they taught us when we went to Sunday school. He said, well, the only difference now is you're listening. And it's true, because it just cannot happen without the grace of God. He did it for me. And on January 3rd, 2005, I claimed that I wanted to be sober, and I have been since then, and it's all been with the help of God. And God has taken me through so many things since I have become sober. I mean, He's led me back to Him. Had I not gotten sober, I would have died. But the sad part about it is I never would have been happy and realized what it's like to be happy. I haven't worked in a year. I've got some jobs I'm working on now that are going to start to pay off, but I'm broke. I haven't been broke in 15 years, and I'm happy because God is working in my life. I know what God wants me to do right now. Where my son is going to rehab right now. I went down there a couple of days ago for some classes. I'm going to be teaching a 12-step program there, plus I'm going to be a sponsor for some of the kids. I'm going to work with Celebrate Recovery in the church. Just the things that God has put in front of me and let me see how I can work and what I can do for Him. I grew up in a Christian home, but I haven't lived a Christian life all my life. And so it's a lot of these things I'm like, a child. My mother's real happy, I can tell you that. It blesses her soul. She's 72 and she says, I can die now. But it's just the things that He's done for me, and I know He's gonna do for me. And it just makes me happy, and it makes me glad to get up every day, You can get better, and you will be happier. And I know how hard it is. You don't think you can stop. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing that's on your mind is, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to use today. Today's the day. And by 5 p.m. that day, you've already given in, and you're depressed again, and you don't think it can ever happen. But it can. And you can become sober. And becoming clean and sober are two different things. Becoming clean is physically ridding your body of drugs and alcohol. Becoming sober is a spiritual experience through God.